The Roman legions were more than just military units. They were the backbone of Rome's success, the key to its dominance and expansion over centuries. At the heart of Roman warfare were the soldiers, highly trained professionals who operated with unparalleled discipline, strategic planning, and tactical flexibility. Their legacy shaped not only the Roman Empire, but also modern military systems. This extensive history of Roman legions is a vast topic that spans their origins, evolution, structure, training, tactics, and equipment. The Roman legions trace their origins to the early days of the Roman Republic. Rome was initially a small city-state, surrounded by other Italian tribes, with no standing army. The early Roman military consisted mainly of citizen soldiers who were required to serve in the military during times of war. These soldiers were often landowners, and their ability to serve was tied to their wealth. This army was based on the phalanx formation, a tightly packed arrangement of soldiers with spears, borrowed from the Greek military practices. However, the phalanx was limited in its effectiveness, especially against enemies who utilized more fluid and mobile tactics. Rome's success in early wars, including those with the Samnites and Etruscans, revealed that the Roman army would need to evolve to adapt to different forms of warfare. It was during this time that the Romans began to experiment with different formations and military structures. One of the critical moments in the evolution of Roman military tactics occurred during the Samnite Wars, 343 to 290 BCE. The Samnites were a formidable mountain people who used guerrilla tactics, and the Romans quickly realized that their traditional phalanx formation would not work in the rugged terrain. This led to the development of the Manipular System, a new way of organizing the army that would prove vital to Rome's success. The Manipular System replaced the phalanx with smaller, more flexible units called maniples. A maniple was a smaller group of soldiers, about 120 men, compared to the larger units used in the phalanx. The maniples were arranged in 3 lines, with each line having a different role depending on the battle's situation. This allowed for greater flexibility and adaptability on the battlefield. In 107 BCE, Gaius Marius, a Roman general, introduced a series of reforms that would change the structure of the Roman military forever. These reforms allowed for the recruitment of the landless poor, making the military service available to a much broader section of Roman society. Previously, only Roman citizens who owned land were allowed to serve, but Marius opened the door to the plebeians, the landless poor, who were often the backbone of Roman infantry. This transformed the Roman army into a full-time professional force. Marius also introduced the concept of the soldiers' loyalty being to their commanders and the Roman state, rather than individual landowners. This change created a standing army that was committed to Roman expansion and conquest, giving rise to the modern idea of a professional soldier. Marius's reforms also changed the structure of the legions, making them more efficient and effective in combat. The Roman legion, at its peak, was an intricate and highly effective fighting force. A legion typically consisted of 5,000 to 6,000 men, though the size could vary depending on the period. The legion was divided into 10 cohorts, each with 480 to 600 soldiers. The cohort was the main tactical unit in battle and could be deployed independently or in coordination with other cohorts. Each cohort was further divided into 6 centuries, each led by a centurion. The centurions were the backbone of the Roman military and played a crucial role in maintaining discipline, ensuring that soldiers followed orders, and leading their men into battle. The smallest unit in the Roman military was the contubernium, a group of 8 soldiers who shared a tent and other responsibilities. The command structure of the Roman legion was complex, with officers at various levels. The highest-ranking officer in the legion was the legate, who was usually appointed by the Roman Senate or the emperor. Below the legate were the tribunes, who were often young men from noble families who served as senior officers. The centurions, as mentioned, were responsible for leading individual centuries and maintaining discipline among their soldiers. The Roman army's success was not just due to its structure, but also its rigorous training and discipline. Roman soldiers were put through a grueling training regimen designed to prepare them for the harsh realities of war. Training would begin as soon as recruits were enlisted and would continue throughout their service. Roman soldiers were trained in several areas, including physical fitness, combat skills, and the construction of military infrastructure. Soldiers would march for miles carrying heavy packs, often under the harshest conditions. They were trained to build camps, construct roads and fortifications, ensuring that they could maintain their position in enemy territory. Discipline was a key factor in the Roman army's success. Soldiers were expected to adhere to strict codes of behavior, and punishments for disobedience were severe. The Romans employed a number of methods to maintain discipline, including flogging and execution. The most feared punishment was decimation, where every 10th man in a unit was executed by his comrades as a form of collective punishment. The Roman soldier was equipped with a range of weapons and armor that made them highly effective on the battlefield. The primary weapon of a Roman legionary was the gladius, a short, double-edged sword designed for close combat. The gladius allowed soldiers to fight in tight formations, stabbing rather than slashing, which was more effective in the dense ranks of the Roman legions. Another key weapon used by Roman soldiers was the pilum, a type of throwing spear. The pilum was designed to break upon impact, making it difficult for enemies to throw it back. This gave the Romans a significant advantage in ranged combat. Soldiers also carried a large, rectangular shield called the scutum, which provided both defensive protection and the ability to form defensive formations, such as the testudo or tortoise formation. In addition to weapons, Roman soldiers wore armor that provided protection without sacrificing mobility. The lorica segmentata was a type of segmented armor made from metal strips, which allowed for flexibility while providing excellent protection. Roman soldiers also wore helmets, often with distinctive crests, and carried daggers for personal defense. The Roman legions were known for their battlefield tactics and strategic brilliance. One of the most famous formations used by the Romans was the testudo, or tortoise formation. In this formation, soldiers would align their shields in a tight, overlapping pattern to create a nearly impenetrable wall. This formation was particularly effective in defending against enemy missiles and projectiles. Roman soldiers were also trained to fight in smaller units, allowing them to adapt to the ever-changing dynamics of the battlefield. The legion was organized in such a way that it could respond quickly to threats from different directions. The use of cavalry, archers, and siege equipment further enhanced the Roman military's effectiveness. Roman generals also employed advanced tactics, such as feigned retreats, ambushes, and strategic use of terrain to gain the upper hand over their enemies. Roman armies were constantly evolving, learning from each campaign and incorporating new techniques and strategies. Despite their initial successes, the Roman legions eventually faced challenges that led to their decline. As the Roman Empire expanded, it became increasingly difficult to maintain control over its vast territory. The legions faced constant pressure from barbarian invasions, internal political instability, and economic struggles. The Roman army began to change during the later stages of the empire. The focus shifted from the professional Roman soldier to mercenaries and non-Roman recruits, which weakened the cohesion and discipline that had been the hallmark of the legions. In the 5th century CE, the fall of the Western Roman Empire marked the end of the Roman legions as a dominant military force.